Asahi slumped on the couch and tossed the phone beside him with a quiet tumble. He would probably hesitate to do the challenge even on better days, but right now, he really wasn't in the mood for any challenge. He knew he didn't really have a reason to feel so down about the whole proposal thing. Noya had no idea what he was planning. It wasn't like he intentionally dodged the proposal, and Asahi should have accounted for Noya's tendency to make spontaneous trips. But it still felt like a sign from beyond. He tried not to think too much into it, but the doubts were already gnawing on his mind, sending his head into a spiral of overthinking. Now that I finally have the ring, this happens. What if it's really not meant to happen? Maybe we should just stay boyfriends without pushing it further. Maybe that would be safer. He sighed and rubbed his face, shaking his head in a fruitless attempt to chase those thoughts away. Not much would change with just the ring. It was a more symbolic gesture than anything, but he still felt like it was an important step in their relationship. Not that he minded staying just boyfriends, but a feeling of someone he loved being his, really his, was something he wished to have since high school. But now he was having second thoughts about it, and he hated it. Come on, it will be fine. I will just propose when he gets back. Nothing horrible. Which was easier said than done. He startled when the phone next to him rang with the familiar melody. He had to smile seeing the contact image Noya set up for him this time and accepted the call. Hello, dear. Asahi, you wouldn't believe what just happened. Asahi smiled upon hearing Noya's excited tone. Energetic as always, I see. What is it? There's this amazing place we just found. It's so beautiful here and entirely empty. I can't believe people don't know about this. I would show you, but I don't have a proper connection. But I will send you pictures when we get back to the hotel, I promise. Asahi sighed softly, the smile still present on his face. He put the phone on speaker and continued on his newest commission while listening to Noah's usual rambling about the newest place he discovered. His chest clenched a bit with the reminder he could share those moments with his boyfriend if he wasn't such a coward to just pack up and leave with him. Perhaps they really shouldn't bind themselves to each other. He would just be dragging Noya down, keeping him from enjoying the beauty of the world. He paused, his gaze falling on the small box lying on the table. Instinctively he reached for it, cradling it in his palms like the treasure it was. It suddenly felt much heavier in his hands. Maybe I should just get rid of it. Forget that it ever existed. Asahi? He snapped out of his thoughts, realizing he probably didn't answer Noya's question. Sorry, what was it? Are you okay? You aren't usually this quiet. Am I calling at the wrong time? No, nothing like that. I just... His mind raced to come up with some excuse, but nothing came up. You are just dragging him down. He's better off out there with his friends. He doesn't want to be bound to you. He doesn't need you. Why would he? The box fell from his shaking hands and rolled on the ground with a soft thud, sending a wave of panic through his heart. Not another bad sign, please. It's enough. Asahi, what was that? Nothing, it's fine, I just... He bent down for the box, his chest tightening. You are still such a screw-up. No wonder he leaves so often. Asahi, what's wrong? Please talk to me, I'm sorry, it just... Just enjoy the trip, okay? I'll call you later. He ended the call before Noya could answer, the phone almost falling from his hands too. He covered his face with his palms to calm himself down, his breathing shallow and ragged. The phone rang, but he just declined the call again and again, ignoring all the messages coming in between. He should have known this wasn't a good idea. He should have never made that ring. He should just be content as it was, not go further when it was just wishful thinking and nothing more. He should have just listened to Noya speaking and leave the ring forgotten. It would all be better. A dull thought echoed through the room when his forehead hit the desk. He covered his head as if that could help him hide from all the thoughts swirling in his mind. Why do you have to ruin everything? The phone next to his head didn't stop ringing with calls and messages, but he couldn't bring himself to turn it off. He hoped the sound would cease as Noya would get tired of calling again and again, but even after 10 minutes, there was no end to it. He wiped his eyes and hesitantly pulled the phone to him, staring at the contact picture for a moment. He has to be worried, and it's your fault. You are ruining his trip. He took a deep breath to unsuccessfully try and collect himself before accepting a call. Oh God, finally! What's going on? Why did you hang up? What's wrong? Is it your work? Or something at home? Please talk to me, you're scaring me. So much for not doing the challenge. As I squeezed his eyes shut, his voice hitching in his throat. I'm fine, you. Really, it's... Obviously you aren't. Please tell me what's wrong. Is it a trip? Are you upset I didn't take you with me? No, please don't worry about me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There was a short pause on the other end. When Noya's voice came back, it was barely more than a whisper. Asahi. I'm sorry for holding you back. But you aren't. What are you talking about? What brought this up? I wish I could be more for you, but... Asahi, dear, please stop. I don't understand. Why would you say that? For that, Asahi didn't have a good answer without telling him about the ring. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing for nothing. Please, I need to know what's happening. Asahi didn't answer, his tightened throat strangling his voice. And besides, what more could he say? Surely Noya realized it already, right? Realized that being away on adventures is much better than being stuck with him. Alright, I'm coming home. Wait, no, don't cancel the trip because of me. You were looking forward to it so much and you already pay for it. You can't... I can and I will. I don't care about some trip when you clearly need me home. You, please, don't do it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything. Just enjoy the trip, I'm fine, I swear. You clearly aren't. How do you think I can focus on what's here when I know you are suffering? I'll take a look at the plane tickets. I'll be with you soon, I promise. I'm sorry. I know, you said that. No. We're ruining your fun again. You aren't ruining anything, dear. Just wait for me and don't do anything stupid. I will be home as soon as possible, I promise. With that, the call ended. Asahi stared at the screen for a moment, his head completely empty for once. He laid his head back on the desk and closed his eyes to get rid of the pressure building behind him. Just a few minutes later, his phone pinged with another message. With haste vision, he opened up the chat, reading the last message saying simple "love you" accompanied by 3 hearts, just like all the other love yous Noya sent to him. He let the phone fall on the desk, his heart aching. Scaring Lev was not that difficult. Despite how tall Lev was, his panic response was very easy to trigger. Surprisingly enough, he didn't have problem with horror stuff. That was more Yaku's problem. But sometimes Yaku couldn't believe how easy it was to scare Lev into a panicked mess. Not that he was aiming to accomplish that with the challenge. For one, he would have to deal with Lev afterwards, which was never easy, and second, he would feel bad for causing distress to his beloved. But the chance was too interesting to miss out on. At least I can get some cuddles from it afterwards. He had already prepared the whole scene in the kitchen and living room, taking inspiration from numerous stories and cases when people just suddenly disappeared without a trace, leaving everything as it was. He overlooked the whole flat, mentally patting himself on the back for a job well done. We can play a little horror game in case this fails, I suppose. Looks good enough for that, I think. He planned on hiding in one of the spare rooms and let Lev explore the scene of a crime by himself before reappearing at the right moment. It was simple enough, and not that horrible to cause some unneeded drama between them. He could always say he just needed to get something from the room and didn't hear Lev coming in if things got bad. He settled on the couch with his phone ready at hand, waiting for the message Lev was coming home. The silver-haired man was preparing for some big commission and already said he was probably going to come home late, but promised he would still send a message he was alright and on the way, and Yaku was determined to wait for him. Not only because of the challenge, of course, he wanted to make sure his fiancée is home safe. He hated when Lev went home this late on his own. The streets of Tokyo were too unfathomable at night, and even though he was sure Lev could take care of himself, he couldn't help but feel anxious every time this happened. He sighed and put on some series on TV in hopes to come to different thoughts. Minutes slowly turned into hours, still with no new call or message on his phone. He checked the screen at least 10 times every minute, his heartbeat accelerating with every unsuccessful attempt. He was hesitant trying to reach out on his own, worried he might interrupt Lev during something important, but the last half an hour was so unbearable he had to try. Unfortunately, none of his attempts reached the desired result, and the line stayed mute. Damn you, you stupid titan! Where are you? An ice-cold hand closed around his heart, his mind flooded with all the horrible scenarios that could potentially happen. No, stop, get yourself together. He's fine, for sure. He has to be. I would know if he wasn't. I would know. He tried to call again, but just as before, the call just ended after several long beeps. He ran his fingers through his hair in despair and tried again despite feeling it wouldn't be successful either. Come on, please pick up. I'm getting worried. He was already thinking about calling up the hospitals in Tokyo when the call suddenly clicked and connected. Oh gods, finally! Lev, where are you? Why didn't you pick up before? Are you okay? He had a million other questions, but all of them were cut short when, to his shock, he heard a woman's voice. "Hi, I'm afraid he's not available right now. Who are you?" Yaku froze. The woman spoke quietly as if worried she could wake someone up. Her tone wasn't hostile in any way, just cautious and genuinely curious, which confused Yaku even more. "I think I should be asking that. Why do you have Lev's phone? Where is he? I was trying to get hold of him for ages. Why?" "I'm sorry, but I have to ask again. Who are you? I can't tell from the contact." Yaku's heart dropped. Surely Lev would have his number saved, knowing him with some embarrassing name, right? Right? Unless... His hands started to tremble. "I'm his boyfriend, Yaku Morisuke. Please give the phone to him, or at least tell me where he is. Another voice, male this time, sounded from the speaker, much quieter as if speaking from afar. The woman paused and probably pulled the phone from her ear as her next words were much more muffled. "Some man says he's your boyfriend." More ruckus sounded from the other end, the man's voice getting much clearer before it was by the speaker. "Mori, why aren't you asleep yet?" Yaku opened his mouth, but not a single word left his lips, his voice betraying him. Lev sounded rather sleepy, but he was there, alive and well. Somewhere, who knows where, with a strange woman, and apparently with his own fiancée's phone number unsaved. His chest tightened, knocking the air out of his lungs. "Mori? What's wrong? Please talk to me. Did something happen?" The phone fell from Yaku's trembling fingers, hitting the ground with a dull thud. "Mori!" He didn't reach for it, completely frozen in place, and just stared ahead, only faintly registering the voice still coming from the phone. This wasn't happening. It was just some sick nightmare he was going to wake up from soon and everything would be fine. He laid his head on his knees and curled into a ball, not even trying to stop the strangled sobs clawing out of his throat. The door of their flat suddenly burst open, jolting Yaku from his stupor. Yet he stayed as he was, not finding the strength to get up. "Mori!" The familiar voice was clouded with worry and felt just like an arrow piercing Yaku's heart. Another strangled sob escaped his throat, but he refused to look up. It would make all his fears real. He couldn't let that happen. "Mori!" The footsteps rushed towards him, stopping when the presence Yaku would recognize any time knelt in front of him. Large hands were immediately on Yaku's shoulders, the gentle touch sending Yaku into an even deeper despair. "Mori, please talk to me. What happened? Are you hurt? Or sick? I heard the phone fall and you didn't respond. I was so scared you fell again and hurt yourself, and I heard you crying. Please tell me what's wrong. Yaku dug his nails into his hair and squeezed his eyes shut, feeling the hot tears soaking through the fabric of his pants. He then finally looked up, his hazed vision meeting the green eyes he loved so much. "Why?" Lev blinked a few times, his hand moving to cup Yaku's cheek. "Why what? Please tell me what's wrong. I need to make it right if it's my fault." "Why am I not enough for you anymore?" Lev froze, his eyes widening. "What do you mean? You are more than enough for me. What are you talking about? Yaku's lower lip quivered. He wished he could be angry at that moment. He wanted to be angry and shout and get everything out. But he couldn't. I was waiting. I was scared when you didn't come and you didn't pick up, and then some woman picked up and you don't even have my number saved. Why didn't you tell me you are with someone? Why didn't you come home and stay with her? He felt pathetic and weak, but he couldn't stop the words falling from his mouth. He had to know, no matter how much it hurt. He had to. A tiny yelp escaped his throat when, in the next moment, Lev engulfed him in a tight hug, squeezing him tightly to his chest. I'm so sorry, Mori. This is just a big misunderstanding, I swear. I would never cheat on you. I could never do that. I love you, no one else. You have to believe me. Yaku pulled away, hesitant to let go, but determined not to get persuaded by a hug. Then explain, please. Okay, so that woman you spoke with is my new security manager. Yaku froze. Security? Yeah, I didn't tell you about it, but there's been some suspicious mail coming in for me in the last week or so. Some are just a bit crazy blabbering, but some started to sound like threats, and Hayashi was worried it might be a stalker, so he hired a security manager. We were going over some safety details and it got long, so we decided to sleep over at her place. I don't have your contacts saved because they got me a new phone, just to be sure. I didn't get to move the contacts yet, and I didn't pick up because I forgot the phone downstairs. That's all that happened there, I swear. Yaku could just stare at him, his mind trying to grasp on so much new information. Why didn't you tell me you were not coming? I was scared you got hurt on the way. I sent you a message that I will not come home tonight, but maybe the phone glitched and didn't send it. Here, look. He fished out his phone and quickly tapped something on it before showing Yaku the message he was supposed to get a few hours ago, saying everything he needed to know. Guilt hit him like a truck. He slumped down, hugging his knees, feeling stupid and dirty for assuming the worst. I'm sorry. No, don't be, please. The warm hands were around him again, making him sit up. He avoided his gaze, but Lev caressed his cheek and turned his face back to him. I should have checked that the text went through and tell you about it all earlier. I didn't want to worry you, but now I messed everything up even more. But I thought you... Why aren't you mad? Mad? At me for thinking you would... Lev shook his head and pulled him to his chest again, caressing soothing circles into his back. I'm not. I'm mad at myself for making you think that you aren't enough for me. He tightened his embrace, pressing a soft kiss to Yaku's temple. You're my fiancé, and I love you. Only you. There is no one else in this world who could replace you in my heart. Ever. Broken sob tore from Yaku's throat as he wrapped his arms around Lev, holding on to him for dear life. Lev didn't stop caressing his back, murmuring quiet reassurances into his ear. Yaku could hear himself blabbering something in return, but his mind was too hazed to register his own words. Lev was home. He was alright and with him. He still loved him. All was good now.